Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to finish up the night talking about Sundial. The reason why I'm making these two update videos on Sundial and Nokia, one, Nokia has a lot of upside and I actually entered that trade, so I wanted to be very clear on that. Second, I want to talk about Sundial because we got some downward pressure today, so I just want to cover where we're going, how I feel about it over the next few days, potentially that bullish side that I'm still seeing, because we really need to maintain that $1 marker. We can drop a little bit and come back up. That doesn't really matter. As long as we maintain that $1 mark, that's all I'm watching on Sundial. So we're going to get right into that content here in a second. Not going to cover any articles, anything like that. Just basically the chart, where I see it going, and then answering a few questions that I had from the DMs. Before we get to that content, I need you to do one thing. Hit that sub button down below, leave a thumbs up, and make sure you have those notifications turned on, because I'm posting videos every single day about the stocks that I'm trading, the long-term pickups, and then trades you guys request via the chat down below. And you can DM me on Discord as well. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it. Okay, so the first question I want to answer that was sent to me in the DMs. Why did I change my bearish thesis on this stock? Okay, so when it comes to trading, you have to be adaptable to changing your opinion and your thoughts. Now, you shouldn't be bouncing all over the place between one day going calls and one day doing puts. Now, that's not changing your mind. That's just being indecisive and bouncing all over the place, and really is not a trait that you want to have when it comes to trading. What made me change my viewpoint? One, we got out of the position, so it's not like I lost money and now I'm just flipping because, you know, we're losing. We got out of our positions and then we flipped above that $1 marker, right? We doubled from where we took profits, the 50 cent all the way to the $1. So that all of a sudden is very bullish. I had to take a step back and look, is this a short squeeze or what's really going on? I really looked at how their CEO managed their debt, getting rid of it, how there is some potential upsides going on. I'm not talking about any mergers with any other companies. We shouldn't be focused on that because that's just kind of hearsay at this point, and we don't want to focus investments on hearsay and possibilities. We want to focus on the facts and the overall numbers. And so what the numbers tell us right now is fundamentally the company's looking very positive. There's no debt. It's sitting above that $1 range. If it can maintain for about 5-6 more days, it'll be listed on the Nasdaq and hold that position. No more warrants. Very, very bullish news. Number 3, potentially it is a short squeeze because we do have a lot of shorts on this stock. But one thing we have to look at is, can it maintain above that dollar valuation? Because if it does, those shorts will be squeezed out, in my opinion. This will be a very heavy short squeeze. I'm not talking GameStop, so I'm not saying we push to $7, $10, anything like that. I'm not even saying we push to $5. So I'm sorry for the thumbnail clickbait, but I do think there's a possibility in the coming months potentially going to $2 to $3, which is still tripling the actual value of the company right now. It's on set to do pretty decent things. So looking at the chart, which we'll do here in a second, it looks promising. So those things all combined made me switch my thesis from being absolutely terribly bearish on this company to actually having some upside. Second question I got, I had a few questions, but these are just my top ones that I want to answer. The second was regarding, is this a short or a long-term trade? Coming into Sundial, it's more medium term, if you're really being honest. 2-3 months, because I think there's a lot of upside coming in with the blue wave, and you're going to hear me mention the blue wave quite often because those stocks are going to be the ones that are heavily affected and moved by noobs. So clean energy is obviously going to be a key target play. You heard me talk about fuel, but Fuel Cell just got a partnership again with Exxon, so that's very bullish for them. So news can change at all times and you have to be willing to adapt. So obviously with those fuel cell puts, I had to get out of those because of the news that came out. The stock didn't move that much, but we want to cancel all the risk that we can possible. To answer that question, I'm not a long-term bull on Sundial. I still don't love the company in this space. I've mentioned in videos the companies I do like in this space, but overall, I don't love what they're doing. I think they're taking a turn to the right direction, which is very positive news and what we should be focusing on. And I think the short term is where they're going to shine, coming 2 to 3 months, maybe right before summer. So I think we could peak around that $2, $2.50 range, and that's ultimately where I'd be looking to take some profits. So I'm not looking for the next 3 weeks. I don't think we're going to get a massive push like GameStop immediately. I think there's some slow, gradual growth. If we can maintain that listing on the Nasdaq, I see some major upside coming. A lot of the other questions were pretty similar to those two, so I just wanted to summarize those two questions because I assume that's what you're going to ask down in the comments as well. Let's take a really quick look at the charts and get right into that. So automatically, you can see the consolidation we're getting in this range, and you can see it doesn't really look that bad. What I am looking for is some potential downside to below this monthly open, because that would be pretty bad and flip my bias on the company in the short term at least. But it's like in the after hours, we're holding above that $1.06 range. So we want to see volume kicking in on the after hours. Sundial also is kicking in with the volume. We can see from Yahoo Finance. So it's looking pretty bullish on that end as well. Lots of buy orders are being placed here. We want to see a maintain value above this $1 range right here, which is basically that red line. So going into tomorrow and the rest of the week, we want to see a push above that purple line and holding and maybe even trending before getting another leg up. It's worth noting, like I mentioned yesterday, we're already seeing a push back to those local highs from the original short squeeze. So as we're seeing that 120, 130 range, that's really what has me bullish on this stock. The fact that we're seeing a full retracement back to the upside from those massive gains we had on GameStop, AMC, and the other stocks as well. This is the only one. We can look at Naked. It's very down. Nokia, they're all very down in comparison to here. That's the one thing that has me changing my mind, especially on the stock that's holding this value. But there's a lot of retail investors I know buying into the stock, asking me questions. I have family members asking about this stock as well. So that's worth noting that this is definitely grabbing the attention of almost everyone. It's getting that GameStop type hype. The positive here is that the fundamentals are kind of lining up with this bullish aspect as well. So coming in tomorrow, let's go over it one more time. We want to say a push up above this purple line, maybe a retest. This is where I would look for some entries, and then a push back up, and then eventually breaking above that 130 range. Once we get above that 130 range, we're looking for some price discovery, maybe to 160 to 170. This is where I would probably aim to get a little bit of profits if you're in some options. But from there, you want to see more consolidation, a little bit of a retracement, and another leg going up. We always want to see slow, gradual moves up, because when we see slow moves up, typically those are more set in, and we see healthier moves to the upside and less big retracements back to that downside. So that is worth noting. So if we zoom out a little bit more, we'll actually grab the chart, move it over, grab that brush again. So what we want to see, some slow gradual moves up, coming up, some trending, a leg, trending back down, and then another leg going back up. You like to see these legs right here. One, you get to add more to your position based on the overall resistance where it retests. So that obviously be a major retest zone. And then two, these are just healthier movements overall with stocks. So go check out some really good stocks like NEO. You see that it gets very healthy movements like this. I mean, rarely do you see a straight shot up on NEO and then a straight move back down, right? You want to see those healthy movements. We got that $70 move on NEO. It was a very slow, gradual move, and we started getting news pumping up, and pumping up as the news and earnings came out. So what we want to see is some slower, gradual growth with this stock. The fact that we're getting some retracement today isn't all that bad. I'm not buying this stock. It was between Nokia and Sundial for me, and I didn't want Sundial. I think Nokia was just a better play. So if I'm picking between the two, I like Nokia personally. But if you're already in this stock and you believe in it, what I'm aiming for is some slow, gradual move to that upside, initial push, and then another push, some price discovery to that 1.5, almost to that 1.7 range, and then some retracement from there. Looking at this volume as well, you can obviously see we got to move up, a trend back down, and now we're kind of consolidating, making that overall flag, trying to get a breakout. So what we want to see here, obviously, we want to see a break of this trend, those three tops that we're seeing. We can get a leg above and then start seeing some trending back to that upside. Because once that OBV kicks in, you can guarantee that stock is going to start following that OBV. We're already seeing it with Nokia. That's one reason why I really love what Nokia is doing. So really watching here is you want to see some movement and actually holding that bottom right there so we can see some upside coming in. The OBV is going to kind of tell us where we're going, and you can definitely see that we're getting that consolidation around this range right here, which was the last support right there. So overall, the charts around the board look very good from Sundial. Even though we didn't get an initial push up today, it still looks very, very promising, and I'm not really sad if I'm looking at the chart. I'm not bearish. It looks like we're getting some retracement, some sideways action, which isn't always bad. But looking at Sundial, let's look at the positives. It's already made a full move back up to those highs like I mentioned yesterday or the day before that. I can't remember when I made that video. Back to those highs of where that short squeeze was. Two, it's getting some healthy retracement. Even though it's getting a little bit of downside, it doesn't look all that bearish. If it was very bearish like some of these other stocks, it would dump already back below that monthly open. Now, what I'm looking for in the coming days to get that bullish confirmation, I want to see an OBV break. Two, I want to see a break back above that purple line, I believe the 1.20 range. And then I want to see it hold above that line for a few days, maybe one or two. Now, if we hold below that 120 line, there's a high possibility we start to break down to the downside. So I'm going to be monitoring this pretty heavily. If I'm grabbing call options, though, I want them for a month, maybe two out. just in case, because once we break above that 130, 120 range, there's a lot of room for us to go up. So I expect those premiums pricing to go up as well. So there's a lot of money to be made on that option side of things. Keep that in mind. That's going to wrap this video up, guys. If you got something out of this, make sure you hit that sub button down below, leave a thumbs up, and have the notifications turned on. I'm posting videos every single day, twice a day, maybe even 3 times like today. So have a good one, guys. Namaste.